Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made the concept for that piece right there. So first what I start off doing is just some basic poly modeling to get the general proportions and stuff, and make sure that all the shapes are there. And then what I do is I added a multi-res modifier, and then just begin sculpting. The main thing that I'm trying to do here is to just break up that very blocky look and to get more of the anatomy in there. But what's also important here is I'm not really trying to stick too much to the anatomy, I'm just trying to get ideas out. Because at this stage, you can always change the anatomy, but I think at this point, it's most important to get the feel right. So for this, my working idea was kind of like a mushroom thing. So I was just kind of rolling with that and then see what happens. Something to keep in mind is that imperfection looks normal. Imperfection looks weird. So when you're sculpting, you should definitely get clean shapes, but it's also important to kind of stay loose so that it feels natural.
There's a spell book. Eliminate him. I don't care what you do, you useless rat, as long as you get rid of him. Stupid insolent rat.
One thing that I found to be very helpful, which I haven't done a lot before, in like the previous sculpt projects, is using masking. That's not really something that I've done a whole lot, but once I started doing it, I definitely see why it is important. So yeah, make the most of the tools that you have. I will say though that you should try to make sure that you're getting the most out of any tool and not using like super fancy brushes or anything just to compensate for not knowing what you're doing. It's kind of like drawing, where if you can't get something to look good with a pencil, buying fancy markers and stuff isn't really going to help. Another thing that you saw me doing there was using the masking tool to change proportions, because in all honesty, I don't really like the poly modeling tools all that much, and people generally say that the less polys you have, the more control you have over your form, which, while I mean that is generally true, I find it hard to work that way. So I'd much prefer working at a like medium poly count and then just using masking and adjusting more. because I find that when I'm working at really low poly counts, I kind of lose track of what the idea is that I'm trying to adjust. So, yeah. The hips are generally just a really tough area for me. They're a very weird shape. Also, it's really important to have good reference, which, yeah, I know everybody says that a lot, but also, it's not just about finding good reference, it's about using it at the right time. Because I find that using references or starting off of a concept too early on means that I kind of lose my idea. So what I find to be a bit more helpful is to just start off with no reference at the very beginning, and then once I get down to refining all my shapes and stuff is when I'll use reference. It's also important to look for unconventional reference, something that people haven't really used before. There's another quick point on reference. It's important to find reference that you can interpret well and will be able to use for whatever you're trying to use it for. Because all of this is just about interpreting an idea. So making sure that you can do that and finding tools that help you do that is very important. And this is just a quick note, but take most of what I say with a grain of salt, because I don't have any industry experience or anything. I've only been doing this for like a year. So take from that what you will. These are just my thoughts as I've been learning. Because that was kind of the point of this channel, is that I'm not trying to make tutorials or anything, because I'm no authority on any of this. So I'm just trying to show my progress and kind of share what I learn along the way. Yeah, there are much better people to be learning from. So I'm just hoping to I think it's fun, so why not? Also feel free to check out my Gumroad, because any help goes a long way. I've been trying to get a new computer, or I'm eventually going to be getting a new computer, and just want to make sure that all of that there is me going to that, so anything helps. Shameless plug. Also check out my Instagram, because I'm definitely the most active there. So if you want to keep up to date, everything that I'm doing, then yeah, go check that out. Sanjay_art page. Because I don't make videos on every project that I make, because I have school and I'm trying to graduate, so I don't have time to make videos for everything. But yeah, post a lot on there. Also, if y'all are able to find my Reddit, then I do post a bit more on there too. So but here I just really wasn't happy with the face, because it was kind of reminding me of another project that I made, which was the tree thing. So I didn't want to make it too similar to that. So I just kind of went for a skull shape instead. And this is why it's really important to know the bony landmarks of the face, because they're always there. A lot of times it'll get covered by fat and muscle and stuff, but especially like around the cheeks and kind of going around the forehead is a very prominent shape. Also the eye cavity. I ended up deleting the arms later because my computer couldn't handle that. So yeah, sad times. And when I'm making this stuff, I kind of have to balance getting practice in and getting my idea out and having my computer be able to actually do the thing I want it to do and render without crashing. So for this one, the arms were definitely, yeah, they were the most sacrificable. Same with the legs. Because later what I ended up doing is I split the mesh for the legs and then keep those at a lower subdivision. Because in my final renders you don't see them at all. So they're just kind of there for practice. Because at least for me, I find that even if I don't include it in my final render, any experience is worth it. So if I'm just making a bust, then sometimes, or most of the time, I try to do shoulders, torso, sometimes arms, and then later, once I'm doing my final composition, I'll just delete all that so I can save some computer power so Blender doesn't crash when I try to render. For this one, I really wanted to do prints of it, so I tried doing I think it was 16K by 8K render, and my computer just couldn't do that. So I ended up going down to 4K by 8K and then 2K by 4K, and it couldn't handle any of those, so yeah. Once I get a new computer, hopefully I'll be able to do some high-res renders for prints. But right now, that is kind of out of the question. Something that I also like to do while I'm sculpting is just take a break for a little bit. If I feel myself starting to not enjoy it very much is I'll just kind of take a break and then move on to some basic texturing. There I'm just playing with the asset browser thing, but I think it's important to do at least some texturing and lighting early on, just so that you can get the vibe of the whatever you're trying to make. I find it to be very helpful, because a lot of times that will kind of inform what I'm sculpting, and it'll kind of help me get some new ideas. So I'm just playing around with different colors, and yeah. I end up not using, even if I end up not using this, I still think it's a good process to go through. And then later I ended up just changing it completely. So, yeah. Yeah, anyways. Thanks for watching. Here are the final renders. Feel free to go check out my Instagram and Gumroad and all those. And yeah. Bye.